And welcome back to the Analyst Desk, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that nice little content piece, getting to hear the players throw a little bit of banter back and forth about each other's plays. But we just saw a pretty wild game number 2, and Mike Young, your 2-1 prediction is looking pretty solid. And I mean, just we have the drafts up on screen. Break down sort of what we saw out of these two teams with this draft.
Definitely is going to be a weird draft where I thought that Taco had a big advantage with like the winning bot lane, the winning top lane, and then mid lane. Talia is kind of just trying to facilitate the top and bot side. But the issue here is that AoE played really well with the comebacks, with team fighting as well. Aphelios got really fed, and Draven, even with a laning lead, has a hard time closing in team fights unless you play it really well. So we've kind of seen the story before, whereas Draven has that hard presence in the team fights, but really strong laner, of course.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Draven, as you can see. League of Draven all
Are
the way.
you in
right
Draven's arena right now, RMC? Is the glorious executioner there with you?
Yeah, all predicted, big 5-brained it.
But your champion's 0-2.
I know, so that's the problem. Like, I love Draven, but in this series, Draven, I sleep.
It's because it's the
Aphelios,
blind. It's the blind.
Let's
pick.
go.
Yeah, it's the early pick Draven. You got to pick it later or something. I don't know.
Yeah. The other thing too is, we're looking at the Aphelios. It's just so much more impactful. It feels like with the Draven, you get a lead. If you're not closing out early, you just end up losing it. And we heard it in that content piece as well that, hey, Taco knows Lynx. Lynx used to play for Taco. And actually back in spring, Aphelios was Lynx's most played champion on Taco Gaming. On top of that, he's always been big on it. Even when it was the Jinx Aphelios meta, and Jinx was actually favored because of her range advantage, Lynx would just pick that Aphelios anyways here. So with that knowledge in mind, I'm just really surprised that they're still willing to pick this sort of Draven into this Aphelios. Like Mike Young said, they actually got those early kills on the Draven. It was so accelerated. But it felt like the moment Lynx started to play a bit safer, they just couldn't punish. And it was just a matter of scaling in that bot side.
Yeah, and I mean, you could definitely see that experience on the champion show for Lynx. Because Lynx, I think it's fair to say, had a pretty good game. But we have been talking about how Taco Gaming got ahead. Let's pull up the replay and show what Gorica managed to do in this early game. And I've got a fun anecdote after this, but RMC, I'll let you break it down first.
Okay, so this is about as good a start as you can hope for on Draven. Skytech, I felt like maybe disrespected the Draven damage a little bit coming through here, so ended up eating so much damage. And right here, again, Skytech stepping up is actually trying to bait them because Winnie's coming around for the gank. But this is a Draven. This isn't any other AD carry. The amount of damage he puts out is just too much, and you can see that the moment Skytech goes down here, you can't afford to stay on to this. Winnie as well, on the Graves, you've got a lot of burst damage, but keep in mind, you've got 2 shots and then you need a reload. And you can see that, unfortunately, for Winnie, you don't kill Rovex, you don't kill Gorica in the 2 shots, and then you're just standing there taking all the damage. And with that 2 kills early for Gorica, this game should have been completely sealed, pretty much, at this point. You've got that massive lead here, you've got that top side at, hey, it feels like the same thing happened again. Couldn't close.
And so that's exactly what I wanted to bring up, because I see Draven get a double kill early on, and I'm like, okay, well, I said it. I'm like, oh, Taco Gaming is actually going to get a 2-0. And I actually left to go make myself some dinner real quick because it's 7 p.m. here, right? At the time it was 7 p.m. I'm like, I'm going to go make myself some dinner. Taco Gaming's going to win. I'm grumbling to myself about how my prediction's wrong. And then I come back, and not only is the game not over, AoE had actually started to pull it back a little bit. And I was very surprised to see that they managed to do that. But I mean, credit to them. And Mike Young, maybe you can break down this crazy Herald fight in which AoE actually wins.
Yeah, so this is a huge fight for me because Taco goes into the fight supposedly with an advantage with Draven having majority of the gold, but he's not here at the beginning of the fight. They're playing the fight very ahead of time without the Draven. And the issue is, in this situation, we're already chunked out on Taco's side, but after this, Aphelios also comes up, and you can see what's about to happen to the side of Taco. So right here, pay attention really closely to Aphelios coming up and how the fight is already over for Taco in this situation, because right in this spot, Aphelios coming up And Ornn actually plays this really well because we have the Ornn ultimate comboing in with Aphelios, and they're sandwiched again. Draven's biggest weakness is if he doesn't have the range to just front to back, and he has to run instead of just dealing damage. That's gonna be pretty much what sealed like the game for Taco, because that's like 1k gold up for the Aphelios because of the shutdown and then Draven just losing the momentum.
Yeah, and all of a sudden Lynx is just online with all those kills. And the other thing I want to highlight was the gun combination as well here, right? Red, white, don't fight. And the other thing too is Draven does win or can win out, but when you've got that many chakrams there, you just go through it like a chainsaw, right through everybody there. And like Mike Young said, if you're dodging, trying to catch those axes, Aphelios doesn't have to do that. Aphelios just walks at you menacingly and just shreds you to pieces.
Yeah, fair enough. I see RMC, you've switched allegiances a little bit on your champion pedestal right there. It's now League of Aphelios, but I also want to shout out production, smurfing that interview. What a great breakdown that was on that fight. Really in depth. Thank you so much for that, and observers for really highlighting what Mike was talking about. But we've now got 30 seconds or give or take until we get into the final games draft, and I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Are we sticking with our predictions? Is AoE going to win this series, or is Taco Gaming going to be able to pull out another upset? RMC, I'm going to go to you first.
Okay, I'm changing my prediction from AoE to AoE 2-1. I still think AoE's got this. Like I said, man, play standard and you win, right? And they played standard that game, they won. As long as they're not, messing things around, I think they got this.
Yeah, so you wanted to see confidence, and you think you saw it this game?
Definitely.
All right, what about you, Mike Young?
AoE for the win, because they kind of realize, okay, we're just going to play a standard strong 5v5 comp, and they're just going to do it again. They're not going to let what happened in the first game happen again. They're just going to play solid front to back.
All right, well, we'll see if comfort can equal confidence right here for AoE, or if Taco Gaming is going to be able to throw another wrench in the works. Either way, it's sure to be a good one. Jolly and Beat, take it away, y'all.
Thank you so much, Hawk RMC and Mike Young, of course, with some great breakdown. Makes it nice and easy for us to kind of just ride off our coattails, right? And talk about, they talked about what we talked about during the game, and now we talk about what they talked about leading into game number 3. So I'm immediately going to transition this straight over. This is going to be Hawk now asking you, Beatdown, do you change your prediction? Obviously, it's not the 2-0 in favor of AoE, but do you still think AoE has this, or are you going to be one that swaps sides? We actually didn't get to hear if Hawk wanted to. He didn't give us his own personal perspective on that one.
It just sounds like you're putting me on the spot from what happened before. And you know what? I respect it.
Yeah.
I think I'm still going with AoE on this one. I think especially that second game was really good, especially from Zamudo on the Ornn. And I got to imagine the first game, it was definitely a really nice draft curveball there, especially with the Nunu coming through from Taco Gaming. But unless they have something like that up their sleeve again for game 3, I think AoE takes it.
All right. Okay. I got the confirmation from Hawk. Hawk
is
also taking AoE. So, I mean, that would be up to me to break the mold. My vote, obviously, as we could see, when it comes to the caster predictions where we get the whole overall, it says AoE. Hawk sitting there. Yup. Yeah, I gotta say, specifically for the same reason that, Mike Young, that everybody else is saying, they picked a standard comp. And we kind of said this at the beginning. If Taco takes one game, AoE is going to be like, okay, guys, stop messing around. Let's buckle down. So I am going to say, I'm sticking with my initial claim, which was AoE 2-1. All right?
Okay.
That was, in fact,
I mean, you changing that would be kind of grief, no?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Granted, hey, I did give Taco the leeway of taking at least that first game, and now it is up to Taco Gaming to prove all of us wrong once again, which we know that they like to do, and we know that they're capable of doing, as they have done multiple times in the past. But the question is now, does AoE have the hunger? They want the better seeding. They want to come out of this one on top, knowing everyone has been backing them from the start. So they have to kind of own up to their own name, as opposed to Taco Gaming, who's like, all right, you guys, let's put you in your place.
And that's what these teams are playing for right now. Of course, it is seeding, but it's that top 2 spot at this tournament as well in the PGCQ. Trying to get to the top of Amateur. Face the winner of 100 Thieves next and AoE Ginger Turmeric. That's going to be going on later on. Again, Taco Gaming, of course, always looking to upset expectations. And AoE Esports want to prove that they are the best. I mean, every team here wants to be the best, and that's part of what we're going to be deciding on the first match today.
Yep, first
Game
series
3.
is going to end no matter what here
That's
after
right.
this game, and we finally do have a side swap. So AoE, after winning that one, it was up to Taco Gaming. They decided, okay, we want the counter pick on this one. So AoE is going to be starting on the blue side for the first time so far today in this series. But like I said, no matter what, this one ends right here after this game, and we'll have to see if they stick to the standard. Right around that 30 minutes is, is what Taco Gaming is actually looking at here, and I do believe that's the case. There might have been. Well, actually, I think Taco Gaming is just all of the challenges that we've had for Taco Gaming and how quickly they will either get taken down or stay alive. They've really just kind of blown all of these anticipations that we've had of them out of the water. And at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the first set of bans is going to be the exact same coming from both teams, aside from maybe one swap because of the side selection difference.
Yeah, we can still see AoE sticking to taking away the Gnar from Lawrence. He was so good on it in that first game, despite the 0-2 deficit he found himself in. But for the most part, yeah, I agree. I think things are likely going to be the same. It's more the second rotation of bans in those last couple of picks. Taco Gaming now, for the first time being on red side in the series, have that opportunity for more counter picks. They showed us some spice on blue side back in game 1. Now, with that R5, who knows what they could show us, Jolly. Maybe they have one more trick they could bring out to punch their ticket to grand finals.
It's true. We saw the Nunu come out. We saw it work absolute wonders. I think, again, what I wanted to see from AoE last time, right, was a little bit more of a mix of damage, and they absolutely had that. With somebody like Zoe over Seraphine, you're getting way more burst damage, plus you're getting the scaling damage as well that's coming out of her. I got what I wanted. Now, what I want out of Taco Gaming on this one is to see a little bit more aggression actually coming out of City Witty in the early parts of the game, like we saw in number 1. You know, those level 2, level 3 ganks that we really didn't quite get out of him in that second game previously when he was on Graves. Maybe getting somebody that is a little bit more aggressive, you know, somebody a little bit more standard along those lines. But it will be the same bans as at least game number 2 here for AoE. It's the Karthus, the Kindred, and the Gnar in a bit of a different order. And then here, if that Yasuo is the final ban, it's going to be the same as the first 2 games as well from Taco Gaming. But it does look like they might try to switch things up because, again, now that Taco's on the red side, they have to kind of anticipate this first pick, and it's very likely that Yasuo is not going to be it, but they still do take that one away from Young because of how much prowess he has on that champion.
Yeah, and this is what I was thinking about too. Draven 0-2 in the series so far, no matter who picks it. So it's looking like AoE said, all right, you know what? Aphelios, Lynx was running it in game, running the show in game 2, not running it. Forgot that means something different in League. But either way, he was doing really well after the early laning phase, not going so great for AoE Esports, and him getting fed, him coming back at the end was a big part of why AoE was able to win. Taco, though, they lock in that Draven. They say they're not the first 2 games. They didn't mean nothing. It's different this time.
And you have to assume that's going to Gorica. Yes, Zamudo did take it in game number 1, but when it comes to Gorica, that is his champion, right? And maybe something else that we could see is some adaptability in the build, right? If I'm not mistaken, he did like a second or third item collector when on the opposite side, you know, you had like an Ornn, a Gangplank, things like that, where something like getting a Last Whisper item, Lord Dominic's, for instance, would be a little bit better earlier on. So maybe adjusting his build a little bit. I've only ever seen him really run that really strict build, even running, because he was running the lethality as well on instead of the crit, which might have been another, adaptation to make here. So there are some changes that are a potential, or I guess potentially in the wings here for Gorica, but it is going to be the sticking with the Talia here, and then it's going to be the lock-in again for AoE for that Graves.
And I'm thinking you have 2 things here. You could either go pick a mid or maybe pick the top laner if you want to run Zamudo again on the Ornn. He did so well in that second game there just previously, because that's something Taco Gaming are likely going to be looking to take away here. But instead, they want to get that matchup that that Young did so great in game 2. And this time around, we're going to see if Shochi is going to be able to have that macro impact that we usually see from him here. Some of those Weaver's Walls towards the end were pretty good, but in that early mid-game, he wasn't getting exactly what he was looking for and what Taco were hoping for.
Now, what I want to see is City actually run this Talia. I want it to be the throw, right? I want this to be a flex pick, to be like, all right, yeah, go ahead, lock in the Zoe, right? And then we can try to get a counter onto that one. The opportunity is still there. We have the bottom lane locked in. It's the Draven and it's the Pike. And then on the opposite side, of course, we have the Aphelios, so we don't know who that partner is going to be in terms of the support. That last game, the Tom Kench pretty much coming in clutch, not even so much in that lane as it was across the map for Skytech.
Yeah, and I think with something especially like the Pike, Tom Kench is probably something you're looking to take away, because Skytech was actually able to save Lynx a couple of times in very crucial moments there. With the Nautilus taken out, that could just be that double support ban coming through from Taco Gaming, and it does mean that AoE are going to have to go a different route there in terms of the support picks. And with the Pyke, Draven, that's a really aggressive bot lane, something that snowballs really, really hard if they start to get going, and maybe a little more likely to, a little less likely, excuse me, to fall off after getting early leads.
See, this is where if it is Talia jungle, it's even better because my thought for AoE is, right, they're going to ban out the jungles. They're going to ban out strong jungles at this point, right? I wouldn't be surprised if, like, the Xin Zhao, for instance, was the next ban out here coming from AoE. And if that Talia's in the jungle, they're like, ha, nice job wasting your bans, right? You should have been focusing mid. Probably not going to be the case. I'm trying to manifest this. That's what's happening here, Beatdown. On the other side, it's going to be that Ornn takeaway as well. So you mentioned how good Zumudo performed on it in that previous game. And that is worthwhile enough to respect ban that one away from him.
Right. I mean, we know Zumudo's able to play a lot of different things here. So it's going to be about whether or not they go for some sort of tank option or they put him on the more carry picks. Gangplank is still up. Fiora is still up and available. So I think there's still going to be a lot of options, but they do get that big takeaway with the Ornn.
Well, let's see now. And there it is. Hey. Like I've seen this gameplay before. It's the Xin Zhao to be banned away, but that means the Taco Gaming. Hey, they're gonna lock in the one, the only Nunu and Willem here for City Witty again. Very aggressive. That was the one thing that I wanted, and hopefully we see him initiate early on. This is another one of Skytech's favorites. Now, I love Braum. I think Concussive Blows is one of the most busted passives in the game. If you can get it to set off properly, right? Getting those shots off, especially with someone like a Felios who's able to auto so quickly and get the lockdowns. And that actually is going to be a secured Malphite here for the side of AoE. That's a pretty big surprise. I was going to say, while Braum is a favorite pick of Skytech, I will say it doesn't have as much success on paper as we've seen with things like the Tahm Kench and like the Nautilus for him.
Yeah, so the Malphite blind is definitely an interesting one there, especially because like the fact is, what are we going to see in the top? It's going to end up being the Sylas there, and surely that's going to be for Lawrence, just because of the fact that that's basically the hard counter for Malphite. All your damage is magic. You can't, once you start getting levels, and especially more ability haste, this matchup's just not playable for Zumudo there, and that's what makes the Malphite blind so dangerous. Yeah, you have utility with that unstoppable force and your ability to engage and be the trigger pull that AoE needs with this composition, but it could very well get hard punished unless we see Witty have some kind of huge impact topside.
Yeah, and it's going to have to be pretty early on, too, right? Which you can't really do very easily with someone like a Graves. You just don't have the damage. You don't have the attack speed, right? To be able to get in there and provide what you need to. The smoke screen is very helpful, right? That is generally good enough if you're trying to gank into, like, the mid lane, throwing down that smoke screen, especially for somebody like Talia, where it's a little bit more difficult for her to get away. That could work out really well for them, but you're absolutely right. It is a very curious pick for the blind Malphite to be locked in here. We know Zumudo is incredibly capable on these damage dealer, these bruisers, you know, these heavy bruisers, but it is once again looking like that team fight angle coming from AoE towards the top side of the map, whereas with Taco Gaming, it's more about that laning sustainability and then kind of just trying to get as many of these solo kills out as possible. So we'll have to see whose plan comes to fruition first, because if AoE isn't able to get this bottom lane out, you know, kind of off and running, then it's very possible that if the top side of the lane gets stalled out a little bit by Taco Gaming, it's going to be very difficult to recover here for AoE in the later stages.
Yeah, and I think the big thing too here for Shochi is that Taco Gaming are putting a lot of magic damage on the top side of the map here, especially with that Sylas pick at the end. But Shochi hopefully will be able to have that impact that he's looking for when you pick something like the Talia, that Weaver's Wall. We didn't see a lot of it have the impact in lane like they were hoping for, but maybe this time around things can be different here, especially with City Witty on the Nunu. We saw what he was able to do in terms of ganking, playing for his lanes. So if he is able to have that impact, Shochi and him can really run the show.
Well, we'll have to see how it plays out because we are now in game number 3, the tiebreaker here between AoE Gaming on the blue side and Taco Gaming on the red side. The last chance to lock yourselves in higher up in that top 4 ranking, trying to get into the top 2 in particular for both of these teams. All right, Beatdown. This is game number 3, and we still have a whole nother exciting series after this one. I can't believe it.
I know, one step at a time, Jolly. Right now, Game 3, AoE Esports, Taco Gaming. Tournament lives on the line, like you said, trying to get that top 2 spot. We already talked about who we're looking for, who we're keeping an eye on in the early game in this draft. Of course, the bot lane, Orca and Rovex, very aggressive, very much winning. Lynx and Skytech, They're trying to scale. They want to play for a little bit later, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I do like I like the Lawrence pickup for this one, right? It's pretty aggressive. We saw the Gnar before with him, and then of course we saw the GP. So it does stick with his kind of style, but it is a little bit more of an opportunity now, especially when his laning opponent is going to be that Malphite. A Malphite ultimate on a Sylas is pretty devastating if he's able to get a little bit of a roam towards the mid part of the towards the mid side of the map in the early parts of the game.
It's going to be great in every part of the game, Jolly. The fact
that's a
that
good point.
now Lawrence will also be able to full send it into these team fights. It's another good point to be concerned about if you are AoE. And again, the dangers of blinding the Malphite top side. But Zamudo, again, is taking the Ignite teleport. And wow.
They'll get the concussive blows off here onto
feel like
Gorka,
you
but
still don't
Skytech takes
win.
way too much damage. Yeah, way too much damage coming out of Skytech. And in fact, Gorka might even be able to still pick up the kill here. It's a flash forward from Lynx, but it's the flash over the wall from Gorka, and Rovek should be able to pick this one up with one more auto. There it is. City Witty comes in to try to help save the day, but it's 2 kills early on for Taco Gaming.
Well, they might have heard you, Jolly, thinking, oh, concussive blows, totally broken. Let's try the 1v1. In all seriousness, no. I mean, it's still level 1 Draven. Not really somebody you want to be fighting. I think your saving grace is that Rovex gets the double kill. Fight getting kills is usually fine after level 6, when he can share the gold with his teammates. So at least Gorka isn't snowballing so hard early on like we saw in the previous game. And it's not great for AoE.
It's not great for AoE, especially considering, you know, the counter pickability, right, that was locked in here for Taco Gaming. Even just talking about that top lane matchup, you know, that we've been referencing here, and the amount of damage that Lawrence is going to have over the side of Zamudo in the early parts of this. And then not only that, you know, you've got the TP and the Ignite as well here for Zamudo. So that is definitely something that we got to watch out for. Lawrence, if he decides to fully go in and Zamudo doesn't have the ultimate to potentially get out or maybe throw it back on him and then walk away, it could be easy pickings for Lawrence in the early parts of this game.
Yeah, that's part of what makes it the matchup so very nice. But also, Winnie taking that opportunity with City showing on that bottom side of the map to be able to take some camps on that top side. And actually, because Zamudo is the one stacking the wave, not getting too aggressive knowing his jungler is away, Winnie has a potential dive if they really want to go for it. But he's going to be happy walking away with camps.
Yeah, and also, you know, I don't really know. We talked about the 2 kills going over to Taco Gaming, but we didn't really cover the fact that Gorka didn't pick up either of those. It was Rovex that actually got both of those kills. Wasn't a double. The assists were locked in by Gorka. He had to walk away pretty early on. So it is still 2 kills, obviously, going over to Taco Gaming, but maybe not exactly where they wanted them in the early parts of this. Winnie should be able to get this one. It's the flash forward. It's a lot of damage here onto Winnie, and it's forced out of Zamudo there, who doesn't have his, but Lawrence goes down.
And it's a big deal. You go flash for flash, which means you can go visit Lawrence again in the coming minutes and punish him that much more. So Zamudo going up 1-0, and not a great matchup. Having that jungle intervention is such a big deal here for the side of AoE Esports. So at least it's something that they're getting back after the play in the bottom side of the map. So far, City getting the double crab is pretty big, not just because of the vision, and I mean the XP is not what it used to be for First Scuttle, but the fact that Nunu, when you get the speed boost when you're using the snowball, Jolly, I don't know if you ever played it, but that's fun. It's hilarious. It's great.
I've played on the other side, and it is devastating and infuriating. It is honestly infuriating is really the appropriate word for that one, because that is what it ends up being when you have that much speed early on, and especially for somebody, I mean, so big, right? And having such a good opportunity to throw down crowd control as well as get some solid damage down. It is going to be Taco Gaming who make the first move here on this dragon. Of course, AoE Esports is behind. I think that was just maybe City Witty trying to coax any of these members of AoE up towards the dragon, pulling a little bit forward in the pit.
I think he needs help though. Oh, hold on. Oh,
a lot of damage on Shochi. That's the Ignite coming down. That should be a kill, no problem. Young winning in that 1v1.
Yeah, really nice. Now it's Young getting that advantage even earlier when Shochi was the one getting the more favorable trades in the early game, back in game 2. And again, Winnie has this opportunity to go for the invades. They have the information that he's on Dragon. Nice and easy, especially with Shochi, who's actually not here right now, so Lawrence can't get too aggressive. He just tries to deny camps being taken away.
And now it's just Winnie kind of doing a little bit of bullying here, right? saying, all right, Lawrence, get back to your lane. You don't know where I am. And also covering up this vision to make sure that if they want to do another dive onto Lawrence to help
Zamudo
Zamudo
6.
in this matchup, there's not a lot that can be done. Zamudo does have 6, so he's going to be able to go in with the unstoppable force, and it is more than enough damage for them to get the kill. Zamudo should be able to stay alive with a sliver of health on top of that. Ping's coming out from Taco Gaming, but it's too late.
And it's huge. Nothing's happened bot lane since that double kill that ended up coming through at level 1. But AoE Esports, they're getting all the dubs on this top side of the map. Young solo kills. 2 kills coming through on the top side. 1 for Zamudo and 1 for Winnie. Now, everything going well, or most things, I will say most things, going well for AoE Esports in the early game. Now that Shochi is level 6, City is kind of working his way towards level 6. I want to see if Shochi's going to be able to find those plays that we saw some of in game 2. Use that Weaver's Wall, help facilitate the other laners.
Yep. And it is, damage. Obviously, we can see Zamudo is going to be picking up towards the early parts here, right? You got the Oblivion Orb that he locked in very early on and getting some more damage on top of it so that he can really just do as much as he possibly can in the early parts to Lawrence, allow Winnie to maybe put some focus into some of these other lanes. And 1-0-1 for both Zamudo and Winnie. You got to feel good if you're a fan of AoE Esports or if you're looking towards the top side of the lane, because that does mean that now they can try to put a little bit more focus towards the bottom if they really want to make that change. Because the fight that happened earlier on that gave that double kill over to Rovex, or the 2 kills over to Rovex, it was solo, right? You had City Witty not even in the wings, and you had Winnie actually trying to come down to get some help. Ooh,
Now,
City
City, trying to do some counter jungling of his own, is going to get spotted out here, and you're seeing not the biggest CS lead, but Winnie still has a lot of camps to work through here. So you got to imagine that's going to continue to grow, as it often does with the Graves, and City's going to have to continue. I mean, as Nunu does, look for these ganks. Try and go for dives if you have the opportunity. Top lane, it's kind of tough with how much pressure Lawrence has been under, but bot lane surely could be an option.
Surely could. A nice shield right there coming out of Skytech to try to soak up the damage coming through from Gorka. Even with that shield, the Unbreakable Shield, you can see how much damage he's able to do just with these autos, though, in the early parts of the game, and that is going to be classic for Gorka and classic for this champion. And no more visibility from City Witty towards that bottom side. I will say I liked how aggressive he was in that game number 1. Look at Zamudo just going to be able to go in there, and this is what I'm talking about. He's just stacking up the damage now. He's able to use the Unstoppable Force one more time, and Lawrence hasn't even been able to steal an ultimate away, let alone use one.
It's been brutal for Lawrence after those first few ganks coming through from Winnie. Now Zamudo, especially, again, going Teleport Ignite. This is in that position where he can go for the solo kill. Combine that, the fact he has the Oblivion Orb, that healing Silas gets from the Kingslayer, not very impactful. And now, this is what we're talking about. City can steal this. Q Smite.
Smite steal can come through. There it is. Yup, easy peasy. In comes City Witty and says thank you very much. Does have to flash away, actually, and Zamudo is in the wings. Now going to be able to make that snowball, get some momentum going. City Witty is safe and okay and was able to take away that Rift Herald.
So that is something. No one's
there
going to
it
be
is,
able to
though.
pick it
There
up
it
on
is.
the... Yeah, no one will grab it on the side of Taco, but you deny it from AoE, who are already having a decent early game, especially the last few minutes. So you make it so you kind of slow the snowball just a little bit, staunch the bleeding, as I think you like to say so often, Jolly. As now, even though Lawrence hasn't been able to find a whole lot of success early on, he does have that level 6. He can steal that Unstoppable Force, so if the skirmish breaks out on the top side of the map in these few minutes, we'll be able to at least do a bit of that, or go for this 1v1.
I was going to say, he does have the ultimate now, so you can go in with the Unstoppable Force. Zamudo positioning well, so if Lawrence did want to do that, he would have to be under tower and take a shot or two, and that's just too much damage for him to try to aggress against. So Lawrence still manages to at least have some pressure in this lane. And I mean, this is a struggle. Like, right, Malphite into Silas is not easy at all. The fact that we're sitting at 2-0-1 currently for Zamudo, thanks to the help of Winnie, is exceptional. Now, in the meantime, on the bottom side,
nice
what
one.
a pull coming through from Rovex straight into that big snowball. Out comes the ultimate as well.
Winnie's here.
Absolute zero coming from City Witty, and now Winnie is here in the wings. There's the stun from the concussive blows that I was talking about. Gorka trying to do as much damage as possible with this ultimate coming out from Winnie that's going to pick up the kill and get some more pressure for AoE in the bottom side.
And it ends up being a nice play there. AoE Esports managed to turn things around, and this pressure means that, I mean, they can threaten this turret, take place if they want to. You can see City is, Winnie rather, is in the area, but it's just going to get them that priority over the dragon here. Surely it's going to be easy for them to get, but thing is, Gorka, decent amount of health. City Witty is on the way. He could still steal this like he stole the Rift Herald, so they wisely back off.
They do. They're going to back away from this one, but that means that Taco Gaming is going to get it no problem. Maybe a little bit. I mean, I appreciate them being safe, maybe they walked away from it a little bit prematurely because City Witty was still coming down and there were 3 members against the 2 that were already there, but it's fine. AoE Esports says, all right, we'll concede that one. We still have the gold lead, we still have the kill lead, but both of those dragons now have gone over to Taco Gaming.
Right, and I mean, again, with Nunu, you have that unique ability to be able to not just objective stack and win a lot of 50-50. So that's been going well for Taco Gaming. And with 2 dragons already, AoE may have to do something, especially with that Ocean Soul being the thing that comes through here in the end to prevent that soul point from coming through on Taco Gaming's side. So that next dragon, in a couple of minutes time, about 4 minutes roughly, that's where a pretty big fight's going to happen.
Another big fight. We haven't gotten, a ton of big fights. There have been quite a few deaths, but most of those have been, these either 1v1s or 2v2s, right? There has been a lot of involvement from both of the jungles, though, and that is definitely something that I wanted to see, particularly coming out of City Witty. That was my big request. Hasn't been as fruitful as he would have liked, though, of course. He's sitting at 0-1-0 as it was a failed gank because he got hit by those concussive blows, so I like the aggression. A little bit more care behind that aggression might be necessary, though, now as AoE is stacking up this damage.
Yeah, and I mean, that's part of what makes the Braum pick from Skytech so good here. To be able to absorb a lot of pressure, damage, now that he's level 6 with that Glacial Fissure. There's a lot of ways to cancel that absolute 0 that City Witty's been getting a lot of damage off since that first game in the series.
Yeah, it's true. It's a lot of damage, even if he ends that one early. It's another attempted initiation here by City Witty. But look at the damage coming out of young Winnie right there with the collateral damage. Once again, is going to be able to find a 3rd kill for himself.
And this is what part of what's different about this first game 1 when City was also playing Nunu. Little to no magic damage because Lynx was getting rolled on the Seraphine. But now Young, who has lost chapter tier 2 boots, and City, who went steel caps, means that Young does a lot of damage to this tank.
Already able to stack the Dark Seal as well. Has 3 currently on that one and is able to really maintain himself. And I think even just in that last matchup, really, with Young on the Zoe, showing his prowess on this champion is something that you have to be afraid of. And we can see exactly why Shochi being forced back once again. And we saw it in the last game where Talia was not able to do really nearly as much as Shochi would have liked. Wow, sorry. In the mid lane. It's only series 1, and I'm already stumbling over my words here, Beatdown. This can't be happening.
Right.
It's because it's an exciting
You're getting
series,
it out of the way. You're getting it out of the way,
Exactly.
Yeah, and I like the point, too, about Shochi, because what we talked about, how he's so good at impacting other lanes. I mean, this game, he hasn't been able to do that at all. He's been locked in lane because Young has been pressuring him so much, and it makes it so Shochi's not able to have that impact with the Weaver's Wall. Has had very few, if any, openings to be able to move to other lanes to make things happen, and that's why, as a result, you're seeing 6-2 in terms of kill score, AoE Esports. Since the first 2 kills that went in like the first minute of gameplay at level 1, things have been going great.
Yes. And it's 14 minutes into the game, right? So plates have just fallen. We did not get a single tower to fall during that time, so a little bit of a slower game, but that's kind of the expectation, especially when it comes to a series finale like this, where it is 1 per side. It is definitely a big risk to try to get that pressure in other areas of the map, and as we know, AoE really focusing pretty hard on trying to get their top side pushed forward so that they can get to this team fighting stage. And once they have this Malphite stacked up with damage, right, he's got that Everfrost completed now, he's got his full boots completed, he's feeling really comfortable to the point where once that tower falls in the top side, whether it's his or his opposition's, Zamudo is absolutely going to be hovering around this mid lane and looking for these team fight opportunities.
I think the big thing too, I really like the AP Malphite build coming through from Zamudo. Means that not only is Lawrence under a lot of threat when it comes to damage, so are pretty much every member of Taco Gaming, especially because we just talked about how City, not a lot of MR built at the moment here. A lot of these spells, they're going to hurt Jolly. Zamudo, you can see it. Now he's pressuring Lawrence out of lane. No TPs. He's going to have to recall because no one knows where he is right now.
Yep, just walks up, uses Everfrost at the same time as Lawrence, and Lawrence says, okay, it's not going to be enough for me. I have to get out of here once again. And yep, we have eyes on Winnie as well, so Taco Gaming knows exactly where this jungle is. Solid pressure from them towards the top side. Now let's see if maybe AoE can actually get some pressure of their own in the mid here and find the first tower of the game for themselves, or at least some other sort of objective.
Yeah, and I like this call. Zamudo backing, immediately teleporting after spending some of the gold. He actually has a stopwatch, so does Skytech, which means they can go a little deeper. than previously expected because of that stasis. And that's the big thing now. City could just go for the steal because in the 5v5, I don't think Taco Gaming have it in them right now. It's looking like just want to make a play on Zamudo.
And it's enough for AoE to actually, oh no, they're going to keep winning here. Might have been
chilling.
enough for AoE to break away from that. It is going to go down here, so AoE picks up the 1. And there was not enough pressure onto Zamudo for that kill to come through. Taco Gaming now just finding a little bit of pressure here on the bottom side of the lane, but they're not going to be able to make more than that happen.
Yeah, I mean, even though Zamudo is still going, is building AP, going for magic damage, I mean, the fact is, a good amount of armor just from his W passive, so it makes it harder for Gorka to be able to take him down with the setup.
There it is, unstoppable force onto the backside. Everybody gets thrown back here. Young is going to be able to pick up one. Winnie takes down another. Zamudo does go down to the process. The flash over the wall, and that means it's going to be Lawrence who ends up falling here. Lynx taking way too much damage from Rovex, but a triple kill from Winnie means that the fight goes in favor of AoE Esports. Now Rovex is on the run away from Young and Winnie. Young going to flash forward with that he has in his kit, and he's going to pick up yet another kill. It ends up being an ace in favor of AoE and the dragon, as well as what looks like first tower.
It just keeps getting better and better and better here in game 3. AoE are done messing around. As you can see how strongly they are winning the game so far here at 18 minutes. And we're going to see the replay. Lawrence doing his best with the stolen unstoppable force, but look at the difference here. He misses Lynx, who's the main target you want to be going for. But on the flip side, you do see Zamudo go in and get a huge knockup with his unstoppable force. And that ended up leading into a scrappy but successful fight.
Yes, it was scrappy, but it was quite successful. When we're talking about AoE, Young staying alive and Winnie staying alive, that is a lot of success, and then being able to get the pickup here onto Rovex on top of it really feels good. That's the ace, that was the dragon, and it was really a fight that AoE Esports said, okay, we've set this up for ourselves, and we're going to execute it. They started the dragon, they left Winnie there when it was at about half health, and only Shochi was on the backside of that fight, so there wasn't enough time for Shochi to go in and even try to steal the dragon, let alone be part of the fight that was initiated by AoE.
Speaking of, Lawrence knows he might get initiated on, so he's going to have to back off right away. As you can see, they've rotated Lynx to the top lane to be able to just get him that extra turret gold because the bottom turret is out of the picture. You do give up pressure on the bottom side, but I think that's a trade you're happy with, especially if someone from Taco Gaming steps up a little bit too far, like maybe Lawrence. He's good.
Well, that and, you know, getting the second tower for themselves before that first tower from Taco is destroyed as well. So Taco does at least get a little bit of a reciprocate on that one, but AoE Esports had a lot of pressure and maybe have the upper hand on this fight as well. It is 3v3 as City Witty kind of makes an appearance here into the mid lane. We can also see how far Shochi is right now, navigating into the enemy jungle, trying to get a little bit of pressure there, a little bit of vision, and steal as much as he can in terms of those camps, because he is not finding success in his lane, unfortunately. Whether it's a 1v1 or not, out comes the Weaver's Wall. It's breaking Skytech and Young away. Young is going to be able to wait this one out. Skytech, unfortunately, not. Out comes the absolute zero, so Zamudo ends up picking up the one. Rovex taking down Skytech. Zamudo on the backside finds yet another one, but now has to get the heck out of here. Gorka going to be able to find it with the auto attack. Lynx has to use the blast code to get away, but can he make it out of Lawrence and Shochi's grasp? He is going to be able to use the dash, but he is very far behind in terms of levels, in terms of experience. It will be enough, thanks to his top tower, to be able to escape with his life.
Yeah, that's a huge play coming through there from Taco Gaming and a big fight win. You're going to see the replay. It is from Shochi, who goes for that invade and realizes he has a great angle for the Weaver's Wall. The few times he's been able to get them off in this series, they have been great. And you can see it. Cuts off Winnie, takes time to isolate Skytech, and even though he lives for a really long time, you make it so that you commit so much, especially the unstoppable force, to someone like a support, giving Lawrence the opportunity to get the better ultimate this time.
Gorka picking up the one as well. There were a lot of summoner spells that also went down. Of course, Lynx was able to get out with his life, but he is still not as stacked as he would like to be. Winnie having most of the kills available right now for the side of AoE Esports, which is definitely a good thing. But when we're talking about the later game scaling, those kills would certainly work better when we're on a champion like Zoe for Young, or on the Aphelios, for instance, for Lynx.
That's true. And Lynx is actually down quite a bit of CS compared to Gorka. We've got to say, last game, even though things didn't start off well for Lynx on the Aphelios, he got a lot of kills, catching him back up into the game. Haven't seen as much of that this time around, but I think this time, this fight coming through from Taco was just in time, because you're getting some real key item spikes coming through here, and it means that being able to fight for this dragon, actually, despite AoE Esports gold lead, is not in their best interest. And that's why I love this call to just move up for the Baron instead, to see if you can sneak that away from Taco.
The Whirling Blade does come through. We'll see if Taco can get there in time. Yep, it's about a third health here for Baron. The Weaver's Wall going to come out one more time. That means Zumudo is separated from the rest of the team, but he's able to use the Unstoppable Force right back over the wall. That means instantly Shochi is out of the fight. A nice little Drowsy. That's a little bit of a swap here as Young gets taken down. The recalls from AoE means that might be the end of the fight here.
Zumudo's TP.
Is Zumudo who's going back. He's got TP up and available. There it is. He's instantly going to come back into the fight. Maybe trying to pinch off Rovex. A bit of a reset onto the Baron as it's at half health. City Witty now has to get out of dodge. He's running away through the smoke screen and there's too much damage. The flash forward from him. A nice jump onto Lynx who's going to use the ultimate there. Rovex onto the backside to get the pull away from Lawrence. Gorga and City Witty still on the run. No flashes up and available.
Oh,
and in goes Lawrence with a huge unstoppable force. Out comes the absolute zero as well from City Witty. Gorka barely able to stay alive. Can he do so through Zumudo? It's a nice pickup as well right there from Rovex. Link's gonna take one down. Zumudo now likely going to fall to Rovex. No, it's to City Witty, but Rovex on the top side is able to find that one. And only one member of AoE Esports is left up and alive.
Huge. Taco Gaming managed to do it again, Jolly. AoE Esports trying to see if they can get one under Taco Gaming's nose, and it cost them dearly. Taco aren't going to be able to go for the Baron, but no objective trade comes through. That's sole point for Taco Gaming for an Ocean Soul, one of the best this game has. And now, Taco have gotten that gold lead, even if slightly, in their favor, and they are really starting to take control of this game.
And that's huge, especially considering the gap that was held by AoE in terms of the kills being heavily in their favor, in terms of kind of having what felt like map control, at least in these general areas. Taco Gaming taking the right fights. They say, all right, if AoE doesn't want to start this one themselves, we will collapse on them. And it was so well done. And now AoE really has to fear about that Dragon Soul that you were just talking about, because they have been putting more focus towards the top side of the map, towards the Baron Pit and things of that nature, instead of stacking these dragons. And I think Taco Gaming has recognized that and says, hey, this is a win condition we can easily take advantage of.
So far, they've done just that. Now they're in a really good spot in terms of how they want to be winning this game here, because the fact is, now Lawrence has really gotten up there in itemization. That second item, the cooldown boots coming through here with the Ionia, means that that W is on a very low cooldown. He has the ability to go in with that unstoppable force, use the Zonias, and now as Lynx, as Young, you have to be very mindful of that in these coming team fights. Zumudo is not the only backline threat. Lawrence is a huge one as well. That's something to watch out for when we're going for objective fights.
Yep, you got to be careful of the ultimates that Lawrence is taking for himself and going in. Of course, I mean, when you've got something like Unstoppable Force, you're rarely going to take anything else. Of course, there is still collateral damage, which is, you know, a good opportunity potentially. And you do still have Glacial Fissure, which is another one, but really the initiation coming out of Lawrence is going to be from an Unstoppable Force steal. Rovex maybe being in a bad position, going to be able to dash away from that one. That means the concussive blows will not stack on this member. A little bit of wasted effort coming out of AoE as Taco Gaming attempts to reposition here. Biggest snowball ever being currently formed here by City Witty. He's not going to be able to follow it up, and it's a nice sleepy trouble bubble here onto Lawrence. No following Paddle Star, though, because Young is just too far away.
Right now, Taco Gaming have a decision to make. They can wait for that Unstoppable Force to expire. That does mean that you are on a timer before you can take it again. Or they can go ahead and just start the Baron right now. Again, Lawrence has the ult. He's ready to go. Just needs to find the position to jump in and use it. Can't use the flash, but otherwise, you're still very concerned about that Silas if you're younger Lynx.
You certainly are. Rovex just ended up taking quite a bit of damage right there from Winnie over the wall. That means it's another reset to come through from the Baron. AoE not taking the bait on that fight like Taco Gaming was hoping.
Right, and nothing lost for Taco, but they will lose the mid tier 1 turret, and potentially recalls can be delayed. They can go for another one, but it's looking like that will be the case. And right now, all this back and forth, it's honestly not a big deal if you're Taco Gaming, because they're still in a really powerful position, especially if we look at the key damage dealers and their item spikes, that being Shochi and Gorka, and how they're both at 3 items, and consider the fact that we're 2 minutes away from Taco Gaming's Ocean Soul. So if things go as they are, Taco will get Soul, and they will be in a prime position to win this game and go to Grand Finals.
Yep, and that is the, the other side, right, of going with this non-tanky Malphite. If you're not going to be going with the armor, if you're not going to be going some resist, which, armor is definitely up there on the priority listing for Zamudo right here, damage is great, but if you can't survive these fights coming out of Taco, then like you said, things are just going to be looking better and better as time continues on. So, AoE Esports now looking to try to find another fight here. City Witty wants to be the one to start it out. It's Rovex once again a bit behind the wall. Out comes the unstoppable force. Rovex is going to be able to dodge that one thanks to his flash. So an ultimate for a flash is a trade Zamudo is willing to make.
Yeah, even with all the ability haste Zamudo's gone with this AP build, that ult's on cooldown now. Now you have a pretty big opportunity to move in to the Baron Pit, move into the top side of the river, and if Zamudo comes close, Lawrence can snag that ultimate again. I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to do so. That's why you see them just backing off, but the play is to just start the Baron, and it's 1 minute before Dragon. AoE Esports are in a really tough spot.
They really are, and with all the damage that's coming out of Gorica here, it's going to be a struggle.
Ooh, nice
Shochi
wall.
Gets bumped off of that wall, but it's perfectly timed. Actually, he jumps off early to ensure the Skytech and the rest of the team is back on the other side.
Lawrence.
He's gonna
Oh, the
have to
ultimate
flash forward. Absolute Zero comes out, but City Witty goes to sleep. The Paddle Star does hit. Lawrence taking a lot of damage. It's going to be enough from Young to be able to take down the two.
Lynx is
The
going
Gale
in.
Force to follow it up, coming out of Lynx, and it's Drowsy. It's another kill. Lynx taking down one. Young on the backside is going to be able to follow up this fight. Gorica has to run away, and now it's just Rovex and Gorica for the side of Taco Gaming, but they're completely split apart. 4 members of AoE Esports in between the two. It does mean the AoE's not going to be able to immediately tackle this Baron, though.
The dragon that's coming up in 10 seconds is something that they can tackle, though, and that's why they have to let Gorka leave. They have to let him reset because this dragon is priority 1. It's looking like they want to split their focus, and I mean, 10 seconds left on City means that it should be enough time. Because if they are able to take down Gorka, that could be AoE Esports having their cake and eating it too. And the fact is, Gorka's just delaying his death at this point, and that is not great.
Nope. And it's the unstoppable force. Gorica maybe trying to look to get the execution there, but that's not the case. The teleport was used by Zamudo. That's TP down. That's his ultimate down. But for picking up the kill onto Gorica, it's a pretty fair trade, especially considering Winnie was able to solo out that dragon and prevent the soul from being picked up by Taco Gaming.
Right, so AoE Esports, they buy themselves time so crucially here, but what are they going to do with that time? Now they are in the lead because of how that fight went, and Lynx himself is in a decent position now with 2 items working his way towards the third, but still, it's hard. You have to make a tough decision, and it's looking like AoE's tough call is that they want to start the Baron because Gorka is still off the map, but City can still steal the Baron.
Is there enough damage from AoE right now as well? They do have quite a bit stacked for themselves. It's the Weaver's Wall coming through to try to break these 4 members off of the Baron, but it's not quite enough still, and in fact, out comes that collateral damage. So much damage onto Rovex, but it's a nice pop-up from Lawrence there, who's actually going to end up utilizing that Glacial Fissure, like I was talking about. City Witty now over the wall, trying to steal away this Baron. He should be able to. That's it, he gets the steal. Absolute Zero coming out. Winnie with a perfectly timed Zonya is there, means he's gonna stay alive. Zamudo with the teleport in, but it's not. Oh, it is enough. Gorka's gonna be able to take damage on the backside. Gorka barely staying alive thanks to the healing that he's got in his kit. He's now got the red buff. Can he get there in time to help out against City Witty against Young? There it is, the E and the double kill going over to Young. It's not enough though. The ace, Gorica stays alive, Rovex stays alive, and Lawrence stay alive with the Baron buff.
Gorka and Taco Gaming tell AoE to stand aside as City steals the Baron. They steal the team fight, and even though this isn't the game, Taco Gaming, they have all but locked it down. And now with this insane advantage, with the Baron buff, with the gold they've gotten, turrets are going to fall, Jolly. And not only that, in 3 minutes time, because of all the turrets that are surely going down, Taco Gaming are going to have an even bigger golden item lead going into what should be their Ocean Soul. So AoE Esports in a lot of trouble after that team fight.
They certainly are. Taco Gaming is feeling good. They've got almost a 4K gold lead, or a little bit over that now, as another tower ends up going down. AoE was able to lock down 3 separate towers on that one, and that was with only 3 members being left alive. So they pushed the mid, they pushed the top, and they pushed the bottom. They got their objective. They're able to recall and spend all that extra gold that they also got in their pockets. So it's up to AoE now to try to maybe find some of these members out and not allow Lawrence to do that once again. That and City Witty's initiations have been quite stellar, along with the absolute zeros he's been able to lock down in some prime positions.
And look at Gorka now, Jolly. Level 15, has the IE built and a stopwatch.
Yep.
2 stopwatches actually on the side of Taco. It means that even if Zamudo goes in, even if he gets the right ult, if Gorka sees it, he's going to be able to survive. And that is his main objective there. Survive and deal damage. So unless you can force that out in these next few minutes, unless you can take him out despite it, AoE, you're in trouble.
Absolutely, especially with the fact that Zamudo hasn't gone the armor, right? The only armor item he currently has is the Zonias. He is going to find a huge unstoppable force onto Rovex, but the concussive blows are not enough. The W coming into play, and Rovex once again getting out and forcing out multiple ultimates from the side of AoE.
It would have been an insane pick, just being able to limit the vision Taco could place in the coming minutes leading up to the dragon, but it just doesn't work, and that's a big ultimate, meaning you don't really have a play to make as Taco starts to make their way to this base. Now there's only one outer turret left on the top side. You're not looking for that if you're Taco. You're making sure this wave comes through. You're making sure people don't step too far forward with a little pressure from the snowball, and you're just going to walk over to that dragon in a minute's time.
Yep. And that's, something I was asking about. I was talking about Gorka's build in the last one, and I was like, maybe getting that demonic, or sorry, getting the Last Whisper item, right, in a little bit earlier is good. He doesn't need to do that, though. He's more than okay with actually locking in the standard build and then just going for this IE and the BT to top things off, to just get a little bit more survivability and a bit more crit damage underneath his belt. Now with the stopwatch, he's got a pretty good lead in terms of CS, and that's where a good pickup could potentially be. If Gorka gets locked down, if they can actually get Rovex and pick up the kill instead of just letting him burn abilities and get out alive, then AoE Esports can find themselves in a good position. But until that happens, it's going to be Taco continuously finding some of these pulls thanks to Rovex.
Yeah, and I like AoE not actually walking through their own jungle because they realize that it's forfeit. All the vision being there in favor of Taco Gaming means they can't actually walk that way, and they're at a point now. We're 33 minutes in, Jolly. They know if they lose the team fight, they lose the game. So they're actually going to let the Ocean Soul go and bank their hopes on either the next Baron or the Elder Dragon in 6 minutes' time.
It's so hard when you have, a Draven just able to walk around and throw these autos off. In terms of damage to objectives here, it's utterly insane the amount that he's able to push away here. Look at Rovex feeling so confident. Does have the ability to dash over the wall, and that is going to be the case. And in fact, he's going to be able to get the lockdown right there with his E, but Winnie sneakily gets out of this one. Zamudo on the other side, he instantly says, all right, cool, nice try. I have unstoppable force, but can Rovex once again get out? Yes, again! Rovex wastes their time, wastes ultimates coming out of AoE Esports, and he gets out with his life, and he's still bullying these guys in their own jungle.
We gotta stop ulting Pike, man. We just gotta stop. Now he has the Ocean Soul too, so he's just gonna heal up on top of his pen. Just let him go.
You're right.
Somebody else. Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's true. It's been so many times that we have seen Rovex get out of there, and it's been multiple enemies every time. It's been multiple enemies, multiple ultimates. It's not as though it's just Zamudo going in and, getting out or not being able to lock down Rovex. No, it's a lot of wasted utility actually on this one player who they can't even lock down. And yeah, he's juicy. He's got a 500 gold bounty on his head. He's sitting at 8, 2, and 5. He's doing a lot of damage and providing a lot for the team, but you can't lock him down, guys. It's kind of clear now at this point.
Right, now we're seeing the objective bounties come through, and it just really shows the situation that AoE Esports find themselves in. Taco Gaming, especially how things early, not looking so great for them with how much Winnie and Zamudo were winning out on the top side of the map. Now Taco Gaming, they've been in control for the last little while. They have the Ocean Soul, Jolly, and are one fight away from Grand Finals. All it's going to take is one ace, even if it doesn't have to be perfectly clean, and Taco Gaming will guarantee top 2.
And even if AoE does get a full ace, because their base hasn't been broken into here, because we're only looking at 3 towers compared to the 7 towers from Taco, that doesn't even mean that Taco is going to lose out. So Taco is much more willing to initiate on one of these fights, because if they do come out ahead, it spells the end of the game. If they don't, then they still have one last opportunity to do something about it. That's going to be a Sleepy Trouble Bubble that hits. Paddle Star not going to land. It's going to go, be actually a Winter's Fight there onto Rovex. You can see, though, Zamudo sitting on the opposite side of this Baron pit, looking for an opportunity to find the ultimate. Out comes the Weaver's Wall. It's everybody in onto Zamudo, and he's just locked down for so long. He tries to ult over the wall. He manages to get it, but Lawrence is on top of him, and that is Zamudo down. That's huge front line from AoE Esports. Now that they have to back away from this Baron, they do have Winnie up and available, but they don't have the damage required.
Yeah, I mean, your main engage is out of the picture, and look how quickly they took the Baron down. It's over. It's gone now. Taco Gaming have that extra gold up front. They have the ability to empower the minions, break into the base, and surely now inhibitors are going to start to fall, and if Winnie falls down, this could be the game.
Could be, and it's not looking very good if you're a Winnie right here. The pull, not going to come through, but it doesn't matter. City Winnie is on the opposite side. Out comes the collateral damage, but it's just too much damage onto Winnie. Gorica is here in the wings, just has to walk up and throw out one auto, and he'll be able to pick up that kill. There it is, the GA on top of it, but he's going to get instantly locked down, and it does not help out. Gorica getting yet another kill right as Zamudo spawns. Winnie goes down.
That's right, 50 seconds on that death timer. And with the Baron buff there for Taco Gaming, they have what they need. They have the numbers advantage. AoE Esports have to let go of at least one of their inhibitors. The bottom one is exposed. Mid is under threat as these waves are starting to come through here. You're just hoping that you can hold on until Winnie spawns, but I don't know if you're going to get that option. AoE might have to make a stand.
They probably will because the damage coming from Gorica is too much right now. Look at these autos on the towers. That's going to be one down. Ooh, it's nicely timed for the stopwatch here from City Winnie, who's going to flash away from this. The absolute zero use just as a proxy measure. Now it's a flash out from Shochi, who's going to use the stopwatch of his own, perfectly timed. Rovex doesn't get hit with the last blast of concussive blows. Gorica finding the one kill. It's the flash forward, and it's also the stages themselves right there, but it's Gorica finding it another one. It's Lawrence finding another kill. It's Gorica with yet another one, and now the game is over. Everyone except for Travesty was absolutely wrong because Taco Gaming have locked themselves into the top 2 places for the closed qualifiers of Proving Grounds 2. My gosh.
They dashed AoE's hopes at being at the top of Amateur and are now waiting at top 2 for whoever wins our next series to see who's number 1. Insane. We all, except Travesty, doubted them, Jolly, and their ability to overcome the odds once again. And once again, Taco Gaming make us look the fool.
You know, I was this close to saying I thought Taco was gonna make it.
Almost.
And then you got the ear, and it was the pressure was on. But it's true, Travesty, and not only that, but Travesty did say I still am dedicated through after every single game. Said it is still going to be Taco Gaming. And once again, I guarantee you this interview is going to be a rough one for Hawk because every single person except for Travesty voted against Taco Gaming. And once again, they've done it 3 to 4 times to us now where almost nobody voted for them. Pretty much the entire desk, all of the casters, everybody involved has said, Taco Gaming, sorry, you're going down. And they proved us wrong. And that's got to feel even better than everybody predicting that your team is going to win and you do come out ahead, right? Those scenarios are something that you're going to wear as a badge of honor and say, that's right. You doubted us before. Don't do it again.
Right, and then they're gonna earn that in the interview. They're gonna say what they gotta say, and you know us and the casting talent, we gotta take it. We'll admit when we're wrong. It was honestly a great series coming through from Taco Gaming. Some exciting picks to I've never casted a new game in my life. And I got to cast 2 in one series. No, like I've never seen this champion. I love this champion, and Excellent. It managed to be so huge there for City and the rest of Taco Gaming. Of course, it was a lot of different things. A lot of great play from Taco Gaming, a lot of smart drafting, especially in that first game for some of those spicy picks that came through. And they're going to grand finals now, top 2.
Absolutely crazy to think about, but that's not our only series of the day, okay?
True.
We are going to take a very quick break. When we come back, we're going to have an interview with a member of that winning team, so let us know who you'd like to see. Not that, you saying anything is going to change anything, but we like to know who you thought or the MVP maybe was or who you'd like to talk to. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with an interview with the winning team here for Taco Gaming, and then we're going to head into number 2 for the series of the day. We have 100 Thieves next going up against AoE Ginger Turmeric, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
And welcome to the interview room, everyone, where I am joined by the victorious AD carry from Taco Gaming, Gorica. How are you feeling after that crazy win?
Feeling pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I played pretty well, and my team played really well, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, hey, a win's a win. You got to feel kind of good after that, right? But
yeah, of course.
And I got to just straight off the bat ask, last week, all the casters and the analysts, we caught a little bit of flame for predicting against you guys. This week, everyone once again predicted in favor of AoE, except for Travesty. One caster picked in your guys' favor. I'm just curious as to what you have to say to all the talent that has been doubting you guys.
I mean, we're all really good. We have best players in every role, pretty much. So I don't even think it's close. Even the top amateur teams, people that think are hyped up, they're really not that good. And I mean, if we're playing well, we'll smash any of them on any day. So yeah, I don't think you guys should predict against us. It's you're gonna lose your bets. So yeah.
Does that mean we're gonna be foolish to pick against you guys next week too?
I mean, yeah, you will be. But I mean, you guys can believe what you want. I'm just telling you guys that we are a lot better than a lot of people think. So.
Oh, I love to hear that. I like that top players in basically every role. That is awesome to hear. But you know, last time after your guys' win, I had Rovex here doing an interview, and he said that, you know, your Draven is basically like the most cracked Draven on the server. You guys are gonna pick it no matter what. This game, you guys took in games 2 and 3, and then in game 1, it was the Draven top. So I guess this is a twofold question. One, you know, tell me how much people should fear your Draven, and 2, were you guys expecting Zamudo's Draven today?
I mean, we knew he played it, so it was definitely on our minds. But I don't think we planned for it. But I think the draft ended up being really good to counter Draven, right? Like we had Nunu, which kind of like can technically just sit like top the entire game. So I thought it was pretty like we had really good answers into Draven as well, because we also had Pyke, right, who would also be able to kind of camp Draven and make his life hard. But yeah, I mean, we knew he played it, so it was definitely on our minds.
Yeah, that's fair. That's more than fair. I mean, you guys seem to play around it pretty well. The reads coming through from all the roams were pretty awesome. But I've got to ask, in game 3, you guys were down and you managed to bring it back. And I'm just curious, in a tense elimination like that, elimination match like that, where you go down and then manage to bring it back, what is sort of going through your head in those moments?
Oh, when I died bot lane and I had like 400 Draven passive stacks, I really thought like the game was really hard. But I mean, I knew we had to look for something like you know, just good plays as a team, like where we just have numbers advantage or it's just gonna be a good fight, and we ended up pulling through, right? And
yeah,
once that happened, I knew like the game was in our control. And then yeah, it's just being like mindful and creative about finding those plays to get back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you guys definitely seem mindful and creative from up here. It made for a lot of excitement. But before I send you off, anything you want to say to all the fans?
Yeah, I mean, thank you guys for supporting me. I don't think I have that many fans anymore, but you know, I appreciate all of you guys, and I'm just here to have fun and, you know, kick some heads, and prove that I'm still good, and you know, yeah, that's all. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, well, you know what, Gorga, you can consider me a fan because you've definitely been impressing me this summer. But thank you so much for joining me in this interview. Congratulations again on your win, and best of luck tomorrow in the finals.
Thank you.
All right, and we're gonna transition now back over to the analyst desk, where, guys, we were wrong again. 2 weeks in a row. I'm looking a little bit foolish up here. I thought Mike Young, I thought you might have the 5-head prediction with the 2-1, but no, we all came up short, unfortunately. Whoops. All right, sorry about that. I was in the wrong Discord room. We were all wrong in our predictions, which is definitely a little bit unlucky. Mike Young, I thought you had the profit with the 2-1, but it didn't come through. And in the draft, I mean, we thought AoE, we liked what they had, but it didn't quite work out. Walk me through sort of how Taco Gaming was able to adjust.
I think it's with the scrappy fighting. Taco Gaming's team comp is really good with scrappy fighting. Pyke, one of the best team fighters when a bunch of champions are low, and he gets to just pick them off one by one. Also, the Silas. You have really great ultimates this game. Mainly the Malphite ulti. That's really all you need. And we're going to see in one of these replays, or the one replay we're going to go over, where the Silas ultimate is going to come out huge.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The Silas and the Malphite, you know, and credit to Lawrence, I think it's fair to say, had some struggles in the lane, got solo killed. It was a little rough. But there's still, the reason why Silas is so good in a Malphite is because you have a Malphite ultimate, and it gets pretty crazy. RMC, I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that.
In Lawrence's defense, I don't think most people like that matchup generally favors Silas for the most part, because usually it's a tank Malphite you're running into, and Malphite likes to stack armor, so Silas should have a free run there. I think it's more on Zamudo just, you know, being 5-hit and going with the AP Malphite instead, catching all of us off guard with how much damage he's able to pump out. So huge props to Zamudo for that. But for Lawrence, the thing is nothing changes, right, in that top side in terms of what you do later on. Like Mike Young said, you take that ultimate, you go into the team fight. And we saw some good ultimates from Zamudo early on, but the problems later on, I just felt like the ults weren't hitting multiple targets. Taco did such a good job splitting up so that it was only one person, And it felt like towards the end of the game, you heard Beatdown crying out, "Stop going for Rovex." Because it's true, you go for Robex, and even killing him, he heals back up. Once he had Ocean Soul, it just felt so redundant.
Yeah, I have a true story to tell, RMC. You were also screaming to stop going for Rovex with the ults, but here's our replay that you mentioned earlier, Mike. Go ahead and break this play down for us.
Yeah, so it's really important to think about how Taco wants to play. They kind of want to play just to slow down the fight, wait until everyone gets low, until we have a great Malphite ulti. And right here, this is when they see, okay, they're split up, they're going in 2 different directions, and Silas comes in to clean up the fight.
Yeah, and I want to provide a bit of context for that play too. Up until that was the turning point of the game, really. That was the first fight that we saw AoE lose, other than the bot lane 2v2, which we're gonna choose to ignore that happened 2 games in a row, I think, on the analyst desk. Like, we're just gonna pretend that wasn't a thing, but I want to give a lot of credit for Shochi as well. That wall, I think it's fair to say, was game-changing, that play from the mid laner of Taco. And, you know, he's a player I feel like we haven't mentioned a ton on the analyst desk because there's just so many carry players in this series. And Shochi, admittedly, I think it's fair to say wasn't the biggest carry, but just so consistently provides so much utility for his team, RMC.
Yeah, and for Taco, again, it feels a lot like Game 1, where I just think they played incredibly well mechanically. I know Gorica said top players in every role. Well, I hesitate to say top. I will agree, they are certainly very, very, very good in their roles. And it's shown in a lot of these plays, because the composition, like Mike Young said, is scrappy, but it's not necessarily great into these 5v5 team fights. There's a lot of bursts up front for AoE, which we saw come through, which will often win the fights up front. So it comes down to mechanical skill and dodging that out, making sure you're not all caught out. And sure, you can lose one person, but then you can re-engage and find the timings after that. And we saw as the game went on as well, especially in that fight, Taco was just really good at not even losing the initial person that gets initiated on. And then once it kind of survived the initial burst there, it went into their tempo where they were able to extend the fights, make it scrappy, make it chaotic. It wasn't 5v5s. Those were 1v1s, 3v3s, 2v2s. Everybody just getting dragged around everywhere there.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it just goes back to scrappy fights. Taco somehow out-scrapped AoE, which, you know, when I think of scrappy here in Proving Grounds, I'm usually thinking of AoE. And, you know, we talked so much before the series started about how City Witty is a lot more of a carry farming jungler, and while we saw some of that this series, this was 2 games of Nunu. So Mike, I'm gonna turn it over to you. How did you feel about this maybe different sort of playstyle from City Witty?
Well, I think it's kind of expected after so many jungle bans. Every single game they just ban out
true, yeah.
his entire pool. So he has to come up with some new picks. I think the new was a great one. It definitely complemented how aggressive the other laners' picks are. Especially when you have like Pyke and Draven in a lane, Nunu is all you really need. You don't need another damage threat in jungle. Is Draven and Pyke. It just speaks for itself.
Yeah, definitely. The Nunu, as someone that also likes to play aggressively, you know, not that I'm as good as these players at all, but it sucks to see a Nunu on the enemy team because you just never know when he's gonna biggest snowball ever down your lane. It feels like, and it makes it so difficult to play around, but. Yeah, and I mean, AoE, I want to give them some credit. Really hard-fought series. Game 2 was very exciting. Game 3 was very exciting. They got themselves very far ahead. Their solo laner's Young. We were talking about it on the desk here. Gets his Zoe counterpick twice in a row. Played so well on it. And at RMC, I'm just wondering if you want to give our boys a little bit of a send-off before we continue to praise Taco for this win.
What is there to say, you know, for AoE when they lose, right? It's really tough for them. They've only made 1 finals this entire season, summer season. Well, actually,
I don't know. They got out in semifinals all 4 tournaments, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so it's the entire year. They've only made 1 finals, unfortunately. And they're so good. They always get so close, and it just feels like semifinals. It just always fails that tiny little bit. So my heart goes out to them. They're still really good players. I mean, the fact that they're still secured for Proving Grounds top 4 spot. I have no doubt they're going to have a good showing. They were also the only team to beat an academy team in Peachy Spring. So, or actually, I think Maryville did that as well. So one of 2 teams.
Taco was the other team. Taco was the other team that beat an academy team. But yeah, and I feel like it makes it. Yeah, I feel like it makes it sting that much more when like. You, on one hand, it's like, yeah, AoE, they've made semifinals every single PGCQ. That's really good. They're clearly a top 4 team, but it's also like, dang, they never took that next step. But I like that you bring up that PG seeding with the loss here today. If 100 Thieves Next wins the whole tournament, AoE will be locked in as our second seed. Otherwise, Taco Gaming will be our second seed, and AoE will fall to 3. So we'll see how that one shakes out. But either way, it was definitely a long, hard-fought series. 3 games. But Mike, I'm just going to turn it over to you super quick. Any final thoughts before we send it to our break?
Well, that game was a definite banger. It's really awesome seeing the Pike just pop off with multiple ulti resets. And then also, like, Sylas versus Malphite. It's a really hard matchup for Malphite. Even if you win lane, you just feel like Sylas does everything better in team fights afterwards. So, be careful blind picking Malphite. You know, in solo queue, I've had that happen to me once.
Careful out there, folks. When you blind pick Malphite, you never know when a dude in chains is going to ruin your day. But we're going to go ahead and hop to a quick break. I agree, that series definitely was a banger. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes with 100 Thieves Next up against AoE Ginger Turmeric.